Well, welcome everyone to our online program on addiction and recovery from the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in Powell River, BC. And our topic, it's kind of a curious one. Why do clients who've just completed a treatment program for addictions, why do they relapse? And if you think about it, it just on the face of it, it sounds kind of odd. When we talk to clients, for example, they'll say, oh, I'm feeling so much better. Right, I put on some few pounds, I saw the doctor, got rid of my physical ailments, maybe saw the psychiatrist, dealt with depression or anxiety, and just feeling more confident. And you think about it, and fewer people are on their backs complaining about them, because they're not phoning in Monday morning with the flu, all that kind of thing. Families often comment about how good their loved one is looking after treatment. And every client leaves with an aftercare program. What are they going to do when they leave treatment? And some of them are extremely detailed, where they will list out what they will do during the week, and oh yes, I'll go see this counselor to deal with my anger issues, and I'll make sure I go see the doctor and the dentist, and I'll go to my recovery meetings, and everything looks fine. And then for some people, the next thing you know, they relapse. Like, what's going on? And if you don't really understand this, if you're just looking at it from the outside, it looks completely baffling. So I thought we'd take some time on this program to understand this. And this isn't an unusual thing. According to our best research, that the very best treatment programs, for every 100 people who go through them, only 25 will still be drug-free by the end of the year. And you got to think about that. That means 75% of the people who complete treatment at some point during the next 12 months are going to turn back to the drug. And it may just be for a short time, a one-shot deal, but there's going to be an attraction to the drug. So, and this is just the reality for some treatment programs. The statistics are at 80% will return to the drug. For some, it's actually 90%. But so the idea then, this is actually a fairly common thing after people complete treatment. And all the research is done on the mainstream addiction treatment. So this is what I'm talking about here. So why is this? Well, if we look to the traditional ideas, maybe from the programs that have been developed basically beginning in the 1950s and 60s, they'll tend to talk about motivation. And the terms that they will use will be something along the lines of, oh, well, he's not ready for treatment, so he has to go out and do more research, or he hasn't hit bottom, so he's not really serious about his recovery. And that's still fairly common, but again, this is more of an older idea, an older philosophy that sort of promotes this idea that there's something about the person lacking motivation, which is curious about this, because I remember watching the great writer and drug addict William S. Burroughs give an interview, and he made this comment to the interviewer. He said, nobody ever wants to be an addict. So if nobody wants to be an addict and people look like they're not serious, maybe something else is happening. So some of the newer ideas from scientifically based treatments, if you believe in the brain disease model, some of the brain scientists have suggested that maybe it's these cravings, they sneak up, and they actually say that this is outside of consciousness. So basically this means that the person has been through treatment, whether they want to or not, or whether they get any pleasure from the drugs, they're just going to use. And they don't actually know why, because it's outside of consciousness. So that's a fairly common idea nowadays. Other people have suggested, for example, maybe there's somebody who believes they have a dark cloud hanging over them. Somehow there's something about fate. This is their fate, that their life will be filled with disasters, which they've concluded from their experience. So they might think, well, look, everything in recovery is going well. I'm getting a raise at work, and my family is not bothering me. I feel healthier. Something's wrong. I know the disaster is going to come. So The tactic, of course, is rather than get caught off guard, they simply choose the time and the place. And so they get to be in control. So that's another idea that's thrown out, more of a psychological thing. Or maybe for some people, they don't like the idea of being accountable or being responsible. So, and when you're in recovery, people actually expect you to keep your word. If you promise to go pick up the kids after school, then that's what you do. The boss will expect you to show up at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock Monday morning rather than phoning in sick. And this makes a lot of people uncomfortable. So what's a good way of getting rid of that? Relapse. Nobody expects anything out of anyone in active addiction. So these are some typical ideas that we might hear from more scientifically based things. Now, the interesting thing about these examples, if you notice, is that they're all outside the person. The person's really not in control, whether it's their brain chemistry or maybe fate or pressure from other people. It's not really, they don't have the power over that. So that's a kind of curious thing about the typical mainstream explanations that we may find why people relapse. But anyway, that's this program, and we'll be back next time with another episode on why do clients relapse after they've completed treatment.